Sit down and heal with Coach Derek. Let that old pain breathe and we air it. You already know that you need to heal. Let me show you how. Turn the volume up, talk it out right now. Sit down and heal with Coach Derek. You picking through, can you feel it? You already know that you need to heal. Yeah. Let me show you how. Turn the volume.
Welcome to another episode of the Sit Down and Heal podcast with Coach Derek. My name is Coach Derek and I'm your host. I am a certified healing journey coach and relationship coach. And what that means is that I help you bridge the two, because I don't do dating advice and relationship advice without the healing included, because we want to set you up to be a better version of yourself when you go back outside. And if you're already in a relationship, I help you with that too. And what we do every single Tuesday at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, live on TikTok, replay on YouTube, both are at Sit Down and Heal as one word. And you can find me very quickly that way on all platforms. And what we simply do every Tuesday is we talk about healing topics and relationship topics and how they intertwine. And so this series that we're doing during the month of May is going to be catered to Mental Health Awareness Month. So every single episode in the month of May, we're going to talk about mental health topics. So tonight, we're going to start the series with the title, Your Mental Health is Showing Up in Your Relationships. So a lot of us knows what that means. A lot of us are living it right now, but we're going to parse it out for more understanding. Some things you may learn, some things you may know already, but just sit down, take a seat, get your Kool-Aid flavor of choice, and we'll get started. So let's talk about this. Your mental health is showing up in your relationships. A lot of us don't even realize what we're dealing with or what we could be dealing with. But when you look at how you perform in a relationship, somebody can look at it and say, there it is. Some of us need to hear that voice and say, you need to go talk to somebody because you're not listening. Sometimes sometimes we have things that in our mind tell us something may be wrong and we just bypass it and we just keep going. So I'm going to read my notes here for context because I don't want to veer off topic. So what I have written here is you don't enter relationships as a blank slate. Your thoughts, fears, and coping mechanisms and emotional patterns come with you and they shape how you love. So think about that. All those things, I'll read again. Your thoughts, your fears, your coping mechanisms, and emotional patterns come with you into a relationship and they shape how you love. So we have to think about, because I'm the healing coach, where does this come from? Shaping how we love. Y'all know what the answer is, right? It's built from when you were a child. So how you cope with things, how you view love, how you receive love, how you give love, it took your life to develop into how you love today if you were to start a new relationship. So everything has a source. Everything has a path. And most things have a pattern, right? And what I teach you here at Sit Down and Heal Coaching is how to identify that pattern so that we can try to regulate a lot of the behaviors that may be dysfunctional or possibly even toxic in relationships. So first thing I'm going to talk about is what mental health really means when you're in a relationship, because it's your emotional baseline. It's how you feel day to day, right? This is important. I'm going to stop here for a minute. This ain't even in the notes, but this is what's really important about the day-to-day operations of a relationship. As a human being, we go through ups and downs throughout the day. Sometimes your boss gets on your nerves. Sometimes something frustrates you or angers you. Sometimes you're dealing with a lot of stress, maybe depression. And we're going to talk about, we're going to break down the stress and the depression and the anxiety in later episodes. But as you matriculate through your days and your week, those things a lot of times affect how you show up when you get home. A lot of those things are on you. Some of us, the stuff been on us for years. We haven't addressed it, but we can see how it affects our relationships when we come home a certain way and our partner is probably asking us what's wrong and you like, I'm all right, leave me alone, right? but we may be dealing with something, and eventually it will grow into something that may be unmanageable in your relationship if you don't understand it, right? It took me a long time to understand depression. I just thought I was tired, right? It took a long time to give it a name. So you fight it and you try to be okay, you try to be functional, and then still have to participate in a relationship or a marriage with your teeth out like this. Oh, if you're on the audio, I just showed my teeth. So the next thing is we got to think about our thought patterns, how you interpret situations. This is also big. The filter that we hear things through, right? And I've done a show a few times called Cognitive Distortions here, where the filter that you hear things through and how you experience things could possibly come from a wound or some kind of trauma that you have. And that filter goes in and you perceive it to be one way, and it might not be that way, but you're reacting to it like it's true. And then your partner has to get that reaction, and then that may then I always talk about this, and then that then may trigger them to react to you, and then it becomes a ping pong match. This then becomes your conflict. This type of conflict has nothing to do with the issue, right? And so this is where the work is. This is where the healing journey is paramount for you to be able to do, right? So your coping style shows up, how you handle stress and conflict and uncertain things show up in your relationship. You don't even realize it sometimes. And this is why we have to learn how to be more aware of ourselves, and not just internally, but how we impact others, especially people that we're in relationships with, because we're supposed to want to be there, right? We want to be there long term, hopefully a lifetime, right? So how we impact the other person matters, right? Right, wrong, or indifferent. How you impact the other person matters if you plan on staying. Some of y'all don't plan on staying. I know y'all. Y'all got other reasons for being there. But it impacts other people, right? This is the emotional intelligence. This is the regulation of and understanding things. You don't have to be perfect, but you can't keep doing something that's destroying the relationship that's coming from you. You gotta hopefully wanna work on that, right? So how we cope with things. So let's take it even step further, right? I see you, Sean. So we have to think about it like this: how we cope with things, right? Some of us use alcohol, right? Some of us have our vices. How does those vices that you use to cope with things affect your significant other? Do you care? Right? We would hope you would care, right? If you say you love the person, but I'm just over here coping and you don't even care about how the other person feels about it, because you in your own way you feel like you're managing stress, but you can't say that you're stressed out, right? This is the issue. They don't even know what the hell's going on. They just know that you are distant from them, right? So this is important when we talk about mental health, because if you are not aware of a lot of the things that you're dealing with, you will believe that your partner is doing something to hurt you. And some of them do. But a lot of times, sometimes they just be checking on you and you get offended. Sometimes they want to correct you on something because they see something wrong and you get offended. But we don't just get offended, we get hurt by it. Why does it go that deep? Where does it come from? Right? We have to really think about why we react to some things so viscerally when it's simply something that's supposed to help, right? So now, in real life, two people can experience the same situation, right? Like if somebody texts you and there's a delay for them to respond to it, one says they're probably busy, and the other one says they're losing interest. So it depends on who you are and what filter. Is there a trauma filter there? Right? One of my biggest wounds is feeling unworthy, not good enough. So when and then that lends itself into abandonment wounds and and anxious attachment. So I may perceive that as they may be thinking about leaving me. And then we panic, right? This is the mental health stuff that seeps into the dating and relationship that we don't even realize that that's what it is a lot of times. That's why a lot of us need help, whether it's a coach, a therapist, all of the above, and all the letters after P. Some of us need all of them, right? But we won't do that if we think this behavior is normal. We won't even think about it. We won't even think to work on it. We automatically are going to treat that person as if they already left. And we are going to panic if you have that anxious attachment going on or any of the other things, right? We're talking about, I don't want to talk too much in depth about the depression and anxiety and stress because we have a whole show coming up about that next week. But it's big, right? And how many of us really have the language to even tell our partners that we're dealing with something? Most of the time, our partners see it, and we think that they're nagging us. We really have some things going on. And what I always try to teach you guys here is a lot of those things were there before you met them. Was there before you met them. But we don't think about it like that. We just think they're trying to hurt us. So now the next step I have here is how unaddressed mental health shows up. People don't always recognize their patterns. And I just said this. Wow, I didn't even have to read the notes because it feels normal to them. You don't address it because it feels normal. But instead of trying to figure out, first of all, you don't know it, right? And that's why we do the work here, right? We dig a little deeper to figure out the origin story. But think about it. I want to put this in context for you. Forget the notes right now. You don't know that you have some things going on mental health wise. You know that there's a lot of contention and conflict and stuff just don't feel right in the relationship. But we think that that's normal because it's all we know, right? And what we often say is, this is just who I am. Deal with it. You got to take me like this. Yes, I know what I'm doing may affect you and hurt you, but this is just how I am. You're going to have to deal with the anger. You're going to have to deal with the this and the that. Instead of saying, why am I so angry? Right? Why am I reacting this way? Where does it come from? Why am I always getting to relationships that feel like this? If we don't take a step back, we will always repeat. Whether you're dating, relationship, married, even a married person is going to repeat a lot of this mental health stuff that affects the relationship and think and call it normal. And it hurts. Not just you, it hurts them. So we have to really take into context. And this is what, when you get help, when you start to heal effectively, right? When you become a little healthier, you get into this mode of asking yourself, why did this happen? Right? To stop instead of just react. Because when you just react, you know what that looks like. Sometimes you'll literally be with a person and you'll keep saying, why do they keep hurting me? But like when you actually like peel back the under the hood, you had a whole nother individual over there that got their own set of experiences. And the way that they react to you, you don't even realize that you probably triggered them. And let me give you a little bit of context on that. When I say you probably triggered them, sometimes you triggering them is just you being silent. Sometimes you triggering them is just walking into another room without saying anything because you need peace. That could trigger someone's abandonment wound. And then they're going to come at you in a way out of fear, and you're going to take it as an attack. And then you have to go on defense mode. And it all started because your boss pissed you off at work that day. and you just needed some space, but you didn't say it. You're depressed, but you don't know it's depression, but you see how it's affecting everyone around you. You know inherently in your body and in your mind that something's off. And that's why we have to learn and become more aware of ourselves, because sometimes our intent doesn't always impact the way it doesn't land the way we want it to. And that doesn't mean that we have to change for other people, but we have to be aware that we may be hurting someone by being triggered, being affected by something someone else does. And it's not that you're not allowed to react, but it's how you react is what we have to look at, right? So, how it shows up, what it looks like, right? So this first one, a lot of y'all gonna really understand, because this is me too. Overthinking everything. See, I talk about this a lot. When you overthink everything, you're monitoring everything. You're monitoring the words that they type in the text. What does it mean? You're monitoring their emotions. You're replaying conversations in your head, trying to figure out what they meant. But we never think about, this could be from childhood, it's surfacing in the relationship, but why am I always, because overthinkers, it's not just overthinking, you're trying to be in control of the situation, right? These are the language that we don't, I'm not controlling. You want to be able to control the emotional tone of the home. You want to be able to control their mood. You want to control someone else's mood by overthinking to try to fix it before it happens. That's a full-time job. It's a full-time, you're going to be tired doing this every day. But we do it because we got some other stuff going on that we haven't resolved yet. We can't tone it down. We have to figure it out. And when I tell you, y'all know in text messages how many different ways it could be interpreted. And if you're one of these type of people that your interpretation becomes law without any facts or whatever, it gets ugly. The recipient is going to catch it. And it's so let me not use the word crazy. It's interesting how my perception of a text could anger me. The other person on the other side chilling, right? And it's something as little as this, be like, how you doing? Oh, here's a good, oh, I have so much source material in my chest. So you can say, how you doing, baby? And they could be like, I'm good. The other person on the other side could be so anal about this that they say, but why you didn't say, I'm good, baby? You left off the baby. Is something wrong? Are you saying someone else? You didn't say baby on the end. What's going on? And then they start to build this thing in their head. And the person on the other side is like, what? And it becomes this thing that grows into a big conflict. And now it's because something going on. It's that anxious attachment. It's the overthinking and trying to figure it out. Something's off. Because people like this, overthinkers, we're very good at reading patterns. And if anything deviates slightly from that pattern, something's wrong. Let me fix it. People pleasers, we do this too. We want to fix it, because if it's not fixed, it's going to mess me up inside, and I'm not going to be able to have any kind of peace. So I got to fix it. It's not peaceful though. That's the plot twist. It's not peaceful for you. Oh, I talk about this a lot. It's not peace. You think it's peace because it got quiet, but your brain's still moving. So there's ways that we can learn how to work on this, and kind of, there's techniques you can use to calm yourself down. But when it's on you, right? Needing constant reassurance. We talk about that a lot too. Ooh, this is sounding real anxious to me. Are we good? You be asking that like every day. You sure we good? Are we good? You sure you still happy? You blinked your eyes twice yesterday. What does that mean? Are you sure we good? And you'd be like, I just answered you like 30 minutes ago. I just want to make sure that you happy still. I want to make sure you good. I want to make sure. Dang, I'm getting tired saying it. Imagine a world, not just the receiver of this, but the person who has to keep asking it. What state of mind are they in? It's always on. Don't turn off. Calculating, analyzing, trying to pinpoint where something could go wrong. Try to fix it, because if you don't fix it, they may leave me. So when we talk about mental health and love, it's a sticky thing. Because imagine a person like this who's extra anxious and they're doing all of this and they also depressed, or they're also extremely stressed out. Now we got a problem. Because now we piling on your childhood wounds and your day-to-day stress, your survival mode, whatever it is. Now you got a whole different animal. And you, as the person who's dealing with all of this, have to show up in the relationship like it's normal. Because if you get too crazy, they might leave me too. Ooh, the calculus problem that's happening right now. But you can learn how to recognize, understand, become aware, become more resilient. Didn't say delete it, but we can learn. Just understanding it isn't enough, right? The real work is being out in the wild and seeing if you still like that. I'm not saying put yourself in toxic situations, but a lot of people choose avoidance and isolation. They don't even want to be around people. You know, a lot of us are choosing not to be around people. We don't even want to be. It's too peoply. What do they say? It's too peoply outside. So you don't even know if you if you're better or not, right? You're not. And we're not even talking about relationships. We ain't even outside to be met to be a friend or anything. We just we just inside, and that's your solution, right? It's a guarantee that you won't be hurt if you never meet another human being in your life. So we got to think about, even though I know it's tough, we got to think about, maybe I might need to work on me. Maybe I'm not resilient enough to be outside and to know when to walk away. Maybe there's some stuff in my head and in my heart that make me run towards the fire, even when it's burning me. Why is that? Right? A lot of this stuff I help you with here. If you decide to, you know, inquire about how I can help you, this is what I do. I'm a hell of a pattern recognizer, and I can help you become one too. That's where we start. So, yeah, I have here another thing that these anxious people, I keep saying these anxious people, I'm one of y'all too. Do you still like me? Are we good? Yeah, like, let me tell you, I talked about this a while ago too, and you guys will resonate with this because y'all ain't young. No, when you could tell this type of person, and I want to say, I hate to do this, but I have to use a gender. I think women do this more than men, but I know that there are some men do it. So when I say it, you're going to be like, yep. People who are like this, after they've known you for like a very, very small amount of time, they'll tell you, they'll ask you to answer this question. They'll say, promise me that you'll never leave me. Promise me that you'll always love me. And then they wait for you to say yes as a reassurance and a guarantee for forever. Now, guess how long these people have known each other? 2 weeks, 3 weeks. Promise me you ain't going to never go anywhere. Promise me you'll never leave me. And the other person is like, we went on 2 dates. Promise me you won't be seeing anybody else. I'm not your man yet. Y'all know if you haven't been in a situation like this or known somebody who been in a situation like this, and you be like, you don't even know me, but I don't want to go nowhere. So I'm gonna say, yeah, forever. I won't ever go anywhere. Forever. They want to lock you down so that that little anxious kid in them can be calm. They don't have to worry about it. It's weird to do this. Well, not weird. It's common to do this because you want to feel safe, but you're asking a stranger for safety and trust. We don't even have any discernible information and know if it's okay to even move forward yet this early. And we're already asking somebody to not see anybody else, I need to know if you're going to stay here forever and love me forever. Now, tell me now, say yes. Because if you say yes now and you renege on it, then I got you. It's not a gotcha. It's a stranger. They can still do what the hell they want to do. They just want you to, they probably want you to be captive. So they're going to say yes. But that don't mean that that's your man. That don't mean that's your woman. That just means that they did what they had to do to make sure they acquire you. They not even, most of the time, they not even going to tell you that they want to be in a relationship with you because they've already got you. If you one of these people that say, are you going to be with me forever in this 2 weeks? Guarantee that the other person going to have a very low bar of achievement to qualify for you. They not going to have to do much. It's already done. You're anxious. Look down on the ground. Your anxious attachment is showing real loud. They won't have to do anything. And that's one of the things that I always try to teach y'all. It don't take long to vet some people. Sometimes it takes a phone call. And you be like, what? Victor, you want me to promise you what? To never leave you? What? We just talked on the phone 3 times. I mean, I know my conversation good, but damn. That's how you be having these people fall in love over the phone, and you be like, when have you met them in person? No, it's been like 3 years. Y'all keep playing around. So, yeah, I went on a little tangent because we gotta stop, y'all. Y'all need to get some coaching. Because one of y'all in here is like that. Shutting down emotionally, avoiding hard conversations, pulling away when things get serious sounds giving avoidant, right? And sometimes it could be something dealing with a mental health. Not like diagnosable stuff, but like you could be going through some things, and then when things get emotionally like big, it's scary to you. And sometimes it may not even be attached to like childhood trauma. It could just be you've reached your capacity for that day or that week because you got a whole bunch of other stuff going on. And now they want to talk about stuff that requires you to be more vulnerable. And you just like, I can't do it. I can't do it right now. Give me some time. Give me some space. I got a lot on me. And the other anxious partner will be like, so you don't want to talk? Why are you running from the conversation? I know, breathe, y'all, breathe. This for me. So now, these behaviors aren't random. They're responses rooted in internal instability. It's mandatory for us to work on us, to get to know us. And I ran across something on TikTok, right? I can't say that this was an original thought, but I do talk about it a lot. But they said something that resonated with me because it is too part my story and it is too a part of a lot of you guys' story. So listen to what I'm about to say. And I don't have the exact quote, but the lady said that from a, how we always talk about childhood wounds and all of this stuff, right? When she said we started so early becoming who others wanted us to be that we never got a chance to know ourselves. Isn't that wild? We started so early trying to be what everybody else needed us to be that we never in our lives had a moment to get to know who we are. It's deep, right? Like, we always talk about, and not just my show, about how many people are like 40, 50, 60, and they don't even know who they are. When did we make time or even know to do that? We know how to function. We knew we needed a job. We pay bills. We have kids. We do all of that stuff. But when did we make time to really get to know us? And what I always tell you here, if you don't know yourself, how dare you get in a dating pool and try to find alignment? What are they aligning to? Now, this is, this is grown up Derek, healing coach Derek, because I never knew this stuff. We wasn't looking for alignment most of our lives. We was looking for connection and attachments and all that to feel good. Oh, they loyal because they've been with me for 3 years, but they not even your person. Somebody that's loyal to you without any of the other stuff that matters, it's an attachment. They just don't want to leave you, but they don't care. They care enough because they don't want you to go nowhere, but y'all fighting every day for years. And it hurts. And we stay. And then we realize that we probably should have never been there. And it's probably because we don't have the wherewithal to live as our true organic selves. So we have to partner with somebody that falls in love with the shell that we created. Y'all, some of y'all are gonna feel this and some of y'all not, but think back to teenage years, early 20s, career choices, job choices. We learned how to function, but did we really learn how to live? Where we are authentic selves, or where we trying to do and be things that some other people that it fit, friend groups, organizations, parents, family. It works out real good when you become the thing they want you to become. It works out real good when you can say, yay, I got my own place, and you happy as hell, but you really never dug into your own personal needs. Yeah, survival. Some people have never been out of survival mode because they watched their parents survive. They then kind of did the hamster wheel of survival for 30, 40 years. Still in it today. And still looking to be in a relationship with all of that on you. If you've been in survival mode that long, it's gonna be little stuff that's gonna trigger you. And you're gonna be like, what you say? You on edge every day. That don't mean you fight every day, but you scanning. Because you don't know, people that are in survival mode don't a lot of times can't even put stuff on the calendar because they living in 24-hour cycles. They don't even know what's gonna happen tomorrow. Maybe on a good day, you know what's going on 48 hours in advance. Right? You're going to deal with some stress. You're going to deal with some anxiety around that. We talked about survival mode last month, so I'm not going to get into it. But do we even know a lot of times what we may be dealing with may be labeled as depression? We just learn how to fight through it, but we know what it feels like for it to be on us. So now we're going to talk about emotional needs. And I may have touched on this by accident. Emotional needs versus emotional dependency. This is where a lot of people get confused. Because a healthy need is wanting communication, healthy communication, wanting consistency, wanting emotional safety. That's healthy. Dependency is needing someone else to regulate your emotions. I'm going to say that again. Needing someone else to regulate your emotions, or feeling lost without constant attention. You can't even sit without needing them to be right next to you in order for you to feel safe. You can't function by yourself. Codependency. Your mood rising and falling based on their behavior. Remember, I talked about emotional monitoring. If they sad, you trying to figure it out. It might make you sad. You trying to figure it out. How can I make them not be sad so I can be happy? Because now that they're sad, I'm sad too. And we go through this roller coaster and don't even be about us. It be their stuff. We intertwine ourselves into people when we're so dependent like this, that how they move through the day, what they go through, you're going to mirror that until you can find a way to fix it. But here's the news flash. A lot of times you will never figure out how to fix it because it's not your burden. It's theirs. You're chasing a chicken. It's not going to happen, especially now because your knees ain't the same. You might mess around and fall down. So be careful. So there's nothing wrong with needing someone, but when you depend on them to feel okay, that's where the problem starts. A lot of us are still this person. We have to be able to regulate ourselves, because when you require the other person to do so much emotional labor, they will also be drained. It's not just you. And then it will have the opposite effect of what you think. Some of us get tired of carrying your load and ours. Right? And we ain't talking about like you giving me 10%. You giving me like 98. It's heavy. And then that becomes how you believe our relationship is supposed to be. I was going to go somewhere else with this, but I'm going to leave it alone. Matter of fact, you know what? I talk about this a lot too. People like this, although their hearts may be good and pure, right? Although they may have the best intentions, when you run your partner ragged with your emotional neediness, you too become a manipulator. You too start to have some narc traits because it's all about you. You will manipulate and cry and do whatever to make them cater to your emotions so you don't have to. I need y'all to catch that. You want them to handle it for you so you don't have to. You know who else needs you to manage them like that? A baby. You're a big baby. Some of y'all have partners or exes that had called you that. You're a big baby. So we're going to keep it moving. I could have started a whole nother show with that. So the next thing I have written down, and we're going to run through these. Making your partner responsible for your feelings. We just talked about that. We may skip past that because I think I inadvertently did it. So, but these are some of the things that you project onto your partner. You feel insecure, so you accuse them of acting different. You feel anxious, so you assume something is wrong. It's your anxiousness. You feel unworthy, so you question their intentions. So what's really happening is you're not reacting to them, you're reacting to what's happening inside of you. That's why this healing journey that I do with you, once you decide to, work with me, we have to realize that a lot of our reactions are coming from inside. Something's being triggered or pushed, and it may not be true. It may just be inside you. Yes, I rhyme. So now we have to talk about also why we blame the other person and say it's them when it's really internal. Accountability feels uncomfortable. When somebody, if you need to be accountable for something, it feels uncomfortable because you can't even see yourself as being wrong. And I know y'all know what I'm talking about. People like this, they have this almost delusional version of who they are that when you call it out, they're like, what are you talking about? That's not me. And they be like, but I got you on tape doing the thing. You recorded you because you didn't believe. Nah, I'm not even that type of person. It's a whole nother world. It's a whole world that you be like, how did you not see? Did you know that you hurt me? I didn't hurt you. That's what they say. I didn't hurt you. Ooh, some of y'all, let's breathe. And then that becomes the argument, whether you hurt me or not. And they will ride that thing until the end of the earth. I didn't hurt you. I didn't do anything. Self awareness requires slowing down. People project their ego by pointing outward. So the pattern is I keep attracting the wrong people. Nobody treats me right. This is what we hear outside. I always talk about attraction. You can find somebody, outside at the gas station, they're attracted to you. That don't mean you got to entertain it. You make that choice. If the pattern keeps repeating, you have to ask what role you're playing in it. This is the whole basis of what I do here as a coach. We have to see ourselves first before we can talk about what's happening outside of us. If we have a lens where we see what our role is and how we participate in things, and then we can start to become more aware of how we impact others. And then we can also look at putting ourselves in spaces that we feel more comfortable. So the inner dialogue that's in your head that you bring into relationships, your mental health, your mental stability shapes the story that you tell yourself. So now this also intertwines into childhood wounds. We always going to keep coming back there because this is probably the nucleus of where a lot of the things that you deal with come from. That inner dialogue, that voice, sometimes it's a little kid, but it has your grown-up voice, so you think it's true. Our inner voice tells us, this is kind of where I was telling you about the whole I'm not good enough. I have that one. So the voice says I'm not good enough. And then my reaction to not feeling good enough is overcompensating, over explaining, trying to prove to you that I am. But we do too much. A lot of it's unnecessary. But that thing that gets triggered, it needs to protect itself. So it has to make sure that it's safe by overdoing. And then here's the plot twist. When you overdo, trying to anticipate because you don't feel good enough, if that person ever criticizes what you do, you're gonna flip your whole lid. You're gonna be like, what? I'm still working on it, y'all. So yeah. The other time people will say, people always leave me. Y'all heard people say this? People always leave me. So then it leads to fear-based behavior. I have to earn love leads to overgiving. People pleasers. I have to earn love. So I'm going to do the same thing that I had to do as a kid, as an adult in my relationships too, to make sure that they don't leave me. So we about to land this plane in a minute, but I got a couple more points to make. So now, a lot of times when I talk about the filter by which we hear things, and I may have to do the cognitive distortion show again, but like on a pop-up live, not the podcast, because it's important to know that when we react and when we make decisions, it has to be actually true and not what we made up in our head, excuse me. So you don't just hear your partner, you hear them through your internal narrative, right? And the wild thing about this that I learned about the whole inner critic, inner voice, inner child, all in the head is is our parents help shape the sound of that voice and what that voice says to us. It's crazy. We get that model for us, and then we then start to act out the play that was set for us. And that's why the healing journey is important, because we have to interrupt the pattern. You know, when people talk about breaking generational curses, breaking family curses, and all of that, you get to be the person to break that so that you can behave differently, because we've seen it all before. We've seen it all before. If you really sit down and parse it out, you've seen it before, but you will blame your partner as the sole reason why you chose them, right? Listen to my words. You're going to blame them for why you chose them or why you chose to stay when you should have left. You will say, they made me stay. I was chilling and then I met them, and then you think it's this great love. This great love story. I met them and then they made me fall in love. I didn't have a choice. And I'm like, I'll be damned. Yes, you did. Don't say that. We all have choices to make. And y'all be saying silly stuff like, they were so cute, I just had to stay. That's your reason? Okay. So now we can ask ourselves these questions, right? As we try to learn more, right? And those of you who are listening, this is going to be a 4-part series. So every Tuesday at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we will talk about something surrounding mental health and love, and we're going to really dig into the depression and the stress and the anxiety. So you guys really need to catch them all. And if you don't catch them live, they will be uploaded to YouTube for the replay. So just look out for that in the next few days. So yeah, it's Mental Health Awareness Month. So we're piggybacking on that as well. So just stay tuned, and you may hear something, you may learn something, and if not, just stay for a while anyway. So now we have to think. And you have to ask yourself, when you start to realize some of this stuff, am I reacting to what's happening, or is it what I think is happening? Right? We have to see if that voice is lying to us based on our trauma, or is it actually true? What am I actually afraid of right now? So this is not going to be easy for a lot of you, because it requires a lot of understanding of how you show up and all of these kind of things. And a lot of us don't think we have trauma or wounds because nobody, oh, the rules on this app, nobody touched us or hit us, and nobody did that to me. That's a piece, but that is not how most of us matriculate through our wounds and not realizing it. It could just be having an emotionally unavailable parent that causes a wound, that causes you to behave a certain way. It doesn't have to be something huge. So when you actually parse out what it actually looks like, and you learn that through coaching with me, what it really looks like, then you will start to see your path different. Then you will start to see your patterns. And then once you see the patterns, then we can figure out an origin point of where you need to start your healing journey. Once the healing journey is on you, then you start to become more aware of yourself. Once you become more aware of yourself, then you can understand what triggers you and what doesn't. And then you get to learn how to regulate yourself when you are triggered. And then you become a superhero, because now you can feel it. Doesn't mean perfect, but you know where to show up, where to stay. Energy's going to be different. Y'all like the word attract. You'll attract different people because you're a different person. Did I even take a breath? I love what I do, y'all. So now you also ask yourself, that this situation remind me of something deeper? Am I asking for clarity or seeking control? So now, relationships don't just reveal compatibility, they reveal your internal state. So you know how when we talk about people who, you pair with people based on the level of your self-esteem and you attract who you are and all of that, they reveal things in you. See, let me tell you something. Some of the greatest relationships are with people that trigger you the most. And don't even have to be anything like super toxic. You're just being triggered. And it's like a check engine light that you got, wait, something's wrong. Let me look at it. But we don't do it. We just get pissed off. And it creates more conflict. It creates more resentment. It creates a divorce. And it could be two amazing people. So we got to be mindful of when the check engine light come on, and we just keep driving like everything cool till that engine conk out on you. Then you're trying to figure out what happened. We know what happened. Look at what you didn't get the oil change. You know that check engine light was on for the 2 years. Kept going, right? Got comfortable. At least the car's driving, right? All them lights lit up on the dashboard like a Christmas tree. Still going. Eventually, that car gonna show you something different. So when you get triggered and the check engine light comes on, it's a signal for you to stop and look and check. And sometimes you'll find it's things that you can let go for a little while. Sometimes it's things that need to be handled immediately, but at least you're aware. Right? So now we're going to wrap this up. So before you try to fix your relationship, make sure you're not ignoring your mental patterns that you brought into it. So this is just, I'm doing this for mental health, but I'm also telling you that awareness and understanding yourself is mandatory, or else you're going to keep putting yourself in situations that's going to destroy you over time. Some of us already destroyed. You know what I mean? We picking up the pieces. So as you picking up the pieces, why not do it better? But the only way you can do it better is if you're better. And how do you get better if you don't even know what to do? And that's why I coach. Because who's going to teach you? Because sitting at home talking about I haven't dated in 3 years and I think I'm ready, that's not the answer. You're the same person 3 years older. They're just going to get to you faster. That's all. You're an open bat signal for them. So I'm going to land this plane. Hopefully you guys got something out of this. This will be uploaded to YouTube, so you can go back and look at the replay in a few days as usual. And every Tuesday, 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Sit Down and Heal podcast with Coach Derek. And we're just going to keep doing this all month. Mental Health Awareness Month, Mental Health and Love, the series, 4-part series. So come back every week and we're going to dig deeper and deeper and deeper until we figure out how to come out of this thing. How to get help, where to get help, all of that is on the table. You guys have an amazing night, and I will see you around social media somewhere. And always remember 2 things. Number 1, you already know that you need to heal. Let me show you how. Let me be your coach so you don't have to try to figure it out yourself, so you don't have to heal by yourself. Second thing is, hopefully you'll come back enough times that you'll trust me enough to want to sit down and heal. I'll see you guys later. Y'all have a great night. Bye-bye.
Sit down and heal with Coach Derek. Let that old pain breathe and we air it. You already know that you need to heal. Let me show you how.